Hello and welcome to MTG Friends. I'm Zach, coming back with another Commander deck tech. Today we're going to be going over an oldie, but a personal favorite of mine, because this isn't just a normal Commander deck tech. I'm actually going to be live updating my Commander deck to use more newly released cards and kind of adjust the deck around a little bit. But that deck is Shirei, Shizo's Caretaker. It is 4 and a black for a legendary spirit. It's a 2/2, and whenever a creature with power 1 or less is put into your graveyard from the battlefield, you may return that card to the battlefield at the beginning of the next end step if Shirei, Shizo's Caretaker, is still on the battlefield. So, a little bit fragile. This deck's really reliant on Shirei, so if you're not looking for that kind of deck, don't play this deck. But if you can get Shirei nice and protected, you're going to have an incredible time. This is pure Aristocrats goodness, and you're going to be sacrificing like crazy. So, let's go ahead and go into what this deck does, and then I'll walk you through some of the ways that I start to update my decks to include new cards. So, this deck contains 35 creatures right now, and a majority of these are either 1-power creatures so that I can get them back with Shirei by sacrificing them, or payoffs, like Ayara, for creatures entering or leaving. Then I've got 9 artifacts, a little bit of ramp, mostly. Let's see, we've got 35 lands here. Should probably up that count a little bit, but I have not yet, but that's something we'll talk about. I've got 1 Planeswalker, which is just Lily, Dreadhorde General, 9 enchantments, 5 sorceries, and 5 instants. I also noticed that I don't have an Arcane Signet in here, which says to me that I haven't actually updated this list in more in depth since I guess Eldraine. So let's throw this. We're gonna throw this into the maybe board because I'm gonna talk about the deck itself first as it stands right now, with just a couple of the changes that I very casually made over the last couple of months, and then we'll actually talk about what the upgrades are going to be. So creatures wise, we're going to kind of, I guess, split them into the 1-power sacrificers and then the more than 1-power payoffs. So Abyssal Gatekeeper, 1 and a black for a horror 1/1. When it dies, each player sacrifices a creature. This card is just pure gas as long as we've got extra fodder for Shirei. You sacrifice this, make everybody sack something, and then you just sacrifice one other thing and they both come back at the end of the turn as long as you still have Shirei. We've got Apprentice Necromancer, 1 in a black for a zombie wizard 1/1. Pay a black, sack Apprentice Necromancer, return target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. That creature gains haste at the beginning of the next end step. Sacrifice it. Necromancer is beyond incredible because it's our way to get Shirei's, a creature for Shirei back online. Somebody destroys something important, great, then we sack the Necromancer, put it back out. It gets sacrificed at the beginning of the next end step, but Shirei's got that loop, and now both it and the Necromancer are going to come back. Or it's a temporary way for you to get one of your creatures like Ayara or something bigger than that back. We're going to skip Ayara, though, because we're just going to talk about the 1 or less power creatures right now. So Blood Artist is next. This is just Premier Aristocrats. You 1 in a black vampire 0/1. When it or another creature dies, target player loses a life, you gain a life. Bone Shredder, 2 in a black, flying, 1/1 minion. It has Echo for 2 in a black, which means at the beginning of your upkeep, if it came under your control since the beginning of your last end step, sack it unless you pay its Echo cost. When it enters, destroy target non-effect, non-black creature. So this card's especially great because it sacrifices itself during your upkeep for Shirei, and then just comes in and lets you blow something up. Really helpful. Sorry. Bit of a yawn there. That's okay, haven't had my coffee yet. But what's especially nice is if there is not a good non-artifact, non-black creature target on the board, you can just choose not to. But helpfully our deck is almost entirely, artifacts and black creatures. So we're never going to target our own stuff with this. We've got Bottle Gnomes next, which is for 3. It's an artifact creature gnome. 1/3, sack it, you gain 3 life. It has a self-sacrifice on it, so that alone is very valuable, even when you don't have sack outlets. And 3 life adds up when you can do it 4 times a turn cycle. Because one thing I would like to note is that Shirei says the next end step, not your next end step. Alright, we've got Cadaver Imp, 1 black flyer. When it enters the battlefield, you can return target creature from your graveyard to your hand. 1/1. This is another way to just kind of return and recycle creatures that have been put into your graveyard that maybe missed a Shirei trigger, and you can just keep them going. Doomed Dissenter, 1 and a black, creature human. When it dies, make a 2/2. It's a 1/1. You sacrifice it, you make a 2/2, you get it right back. You sacrifice it, you make a 2/2, you get it right back. It's just... This card looks really awful in Commander until you go full value train, and it's really great. Festering Mummy is very similar. Black for a 1/1 zombie. When it dies, put a 1/1 counter on target creature. Usually not that great in Commander, but when you can do it 4 times a turn cycle, you're probably taking out a creature or 2 in the process, maybe more. Fume Spitter, same dice, you sack it, you put a 1/1 counter on target creature, 1 and a black for a horror, and a 1/1. Or no, just 1 black, not even 1 and a black. And same dice is just, you keep doing this over and over, and those 1/1 counters, or negative 1/1 counters, really, really add up. Then we've got, let's see, Hell's Caretaker here. 3 and a black for a horror 1/1. Sack a creature, return target creature from your graveyard to the battlefield, activate only during your upkeep. That's fine. This doesn't even, like, remove the creature at the beginning of the end step, so you can have something real big in your graveyard and bring it right back with Caretaker. Not a problem. Then we've got Mindless Automaton. It is at base of 0/0, and at 4 mana, but it enters with 2 1/1 counters on it. So it's a 2/2, right? Well, when it enters the battlefield, you put 2 1/1 counters on it. It's a 2/2. You can pay 1, discard a card, put a 1/1 counter on it, and then you can remove 2 1/1 counters from it to draw a card, which means that when it dies, it's a 0/0, and then it comes right back with 2 1/1 counters on it at the beginning of your next end step. Then we've got Perilous Myr. When it dies, deals 2 damage to target creature or player. It's a 1/1 for 2. It's an artifact Myr. Pilgrim's Eye, 3, artifact creature, Thopter, 1/1 flyer. When it enters, you may search your library for a basic land, reveal it, put it into your hand, shuffle your library. This is your ramp. This is black ramp, in this deck specifically. Priest of Forgotten Gods, sack 2 other creatures, any number of target players. Each lose 2 life, sack a creature, you add black, black, and draw a card. It's 1 and a black for a human cleric, 1/2. This card's insane. You can even sack it itself if you really need to, but you're going to drain people, make them sack, and then you get to draw a card and add 2 mana? Like, yeah, absolutely. Serrated Scorpion. This is probably the newest edition in here, and this was just, a 1-power dude from Ikoria, but it's 1 and a black for a Scorpion, 1/2. When it dies, it deals 2 damage to each opponent, and you gain 2 life. Amazing drain card. Skursdag High Priest, 1 and a black human cleric, 1/2. Morbid, which means you can only activate this if your creature died. Tap it, and then tap 2 untapped creatures you control, make a 5/5 black demon creature token with flying onto the battlefield. Activate this ability only if a creature died this turn. Very powerful if you can guarantee that that creature dies, which in this deck you probably can. Sky Scanner, similar to Pilgrim's Eye except with draw. It's an artifact Thopter, 1/1 for 3. When it enters, draw a card, and it's a flyer. So same dice, you just cycle this over and over, fill up your hand. Summoner's Egg is a little bit of tech that I've had a lot of success with, but most likely this is going to be one of the first things to get cut as I'm adjusting this list. But it is an artifact creature. It's an egg, even though it doesn't actually say it on the card. That's a printing error. 4 mana for an 0/4. It has Imprint. When it comes into play, you can remove a card in your hand from the game face down. When Summoner's Egg is put into a graveyard from play, turn the imprinted face down card face up. If that card is a creature card, put it into play under your control. So this is just kind of like a sneaky way to cheat stuff out early, especially some of those bigger cost cards like Villas here. But I found that paying the 4 to do it in the first place can be a little painful. Alright, we got Thought Picker Witch. This is probably one of the all-stars of this deck. Let me pull it up a little closer here. 1 and a black for a 1/1 human wizard. For 1, sacrifice a creature. Look at the top 2 cards of target opponent's library, then remove one of them from the game. So for just a single mana and the sacrifice outlet that we actually want to do, this thing is letting us peek at an opponent's deck, the top 2 cards, and then just straight up exile one of them. Unconditionally. Like, it's never coming back. This is especially insane if somebody does like a strong scry, like they're very happy with what's on top. You just drop a Thought Picker Witch and mess up their life. Alright, we got Tree of Perdition. This card's a meme. It's won me a game. Not even a joke. I had an opponent who went crazy, gained infinite life, but didn't actually have a payoff for it. So, I mean, that's sad. They had infinite mana, infinite life, didn't have the card draw engine they needed, but, they figured, hey, I'm not going to lose. I have infinite life. On their end step, I cracked a, oh my goodness, where is it? It's in here somewhere. Maybe I cut it, but I cracked Emergent Zone. That's what it is. I need to put that back in here. Man, I think I was worried about number of black lands. But I cracked an Emergent Zone, flashed it out, and then on my turn I tapped it, exchanged their infinite life with its 13 toughness, and then killed them on the spot. It was really, really satisfying, because I don't know if I would have been able to drain them out that way otherwise. Alright, Viscera Seer is one of the most potent sacrifice outlets in this deck on a creature. Just a black mana for Vampire Wizard 1/1 sack a creature, scry one. Lets you rip through the top of your deck by just sacking all your dudes like you already want to. Amazing. Yurok's Fenlurker. This is a fairly new one too. Black for a 1/1 horror. When it enters the battlefield, each opponent exiles a card from their hand. And for 2 and a black, you can give it +1/+1 until end of turn. You're probably never going to pump this thing unless you got just a ton of spare mana. But that exiles effect is really potent. It hurts so much more than a discard. And then lastly, another Blood Artist. It's Sulaport Cutthroat. 1/1 for 1 and a black human rogue ally. Whenever it or another creature you control dies, each opponent loses a life. And you gain a life. So those are our sacrifice targets. Those are the things that we are going to be trying to repeat over and over again. So they all want either dies triggers or enters triggers. And now let's go over the cards that trigger off of those. So we got Iara, First of Locthwain from Eldraine. Black, Elf Noble, Legendary. She's a 2/3. Whenever she or another black creature enters the battlefield under your control, each opponent loses a life and you gain a life. Tap, sack another black creature, draw a card. So she's a card draw engine, and she's a drain engine. So while sacrificing with her is only like a once per turn cycle thing, sacrificing with other stuff and then getting them back with your commander, Shirei, is going to be really powerful because you're going to be draining a lot of life, like a scary lot of life. Let's see, next up I believe is Crypt Ghast. This is just black ramp with also a little bit of life drain through Extort. It's 3 and a black for a spirit, 2/2. Whenever you tap a swamp for mana, add black to your mana pool, in addition to the mana the land produces. And then plus it has Extort, which means whenever you cast a spell, you can pay white or black, so just black. If you do, each opponent loses a life, and you gain that much life. It's a good drain effect. Then we have Grim Haruspex, 2 and a black for a human wizard, 3/2. It has Morph for a black. You can cast it face down for 3. Turn it face up anytime for its Morph cost. Whenever another non-token creature you control dies, draw a card. I'm going to be honest, I don't quite understand why this card has Morph. I guess in a mono black deck, it's not really that valuable. You know, if I was going to play it face down for 3, I would just play it for 3. But it's a really good way to draw an absolute ton of cards. Harvester of Souls is much the same. 4 black, though, a little more expensive. 5/5 Death Toucher Demon. Whenever another non-token creature dies, draw a card. Krav the Unredeemed is one of my absolute favorite both sacrifice outlets and draw engines. So he is a 5 mana, so 4 and a black, legendary demon, 3/3. He has partner with Regna the Redeemer, but she's white, so she's not in the deck. Black, sacrifice X creatures. Target player draws X cards, gains X life, and put X 1/1 counters on Krav. 1 black. It's 1 black mana to sacrifice any number of creatures, draw a ton of cards, gain a ton of life, and make Krav really, really big. This card is so unbelievably threatening. Then we have Pawn of Ulamog, 1 black Vampire Shaman for it's a 2/2. Whenever it or another non-token creature you control dies, you can make a 0/1 colorless Eldrazi spawn, which has sack this creature, add colorless. So this is ramp in exchange for killing your creatures. Hey, that's what we're doing already. That works out really nicely, doesn't it? We have Razaketh the Foul-Blooded. This card is the backbone of this deck. This card is the tutor god in this deck. He's 5 black for a legendary demon, 8/8 flying trample. Pay 2 life, sack another creature, search your library for a card, put that in your hand, shuffle your library. So once you can get him out past the 8 mana cost, this is pay 2, sack another creature, Demonic Tutor. Or I guess, yeah, Demonic Tutor at instant speed, just as long as you have the life and a creature to sack, and as long as you can keep Shirei out, you always will have a creature. It's incredible. And it lets you search up exactly what you need at any time. We've got Sir Conrad the Grim, 3 black, legendary human knight. Whenever another creature dies, or a creature is put into your graveyard from anywhere other than the battlefield, or a creature card leaves your graveyard, Sir Conrad the Grim deals 1 damage to each opponent. 1 and a black, each player mills 1. 5/4. Legendary human knight. So, let's break this down. So, when another creature dies, Conrad deals a damage to each opponent. When a creature card is put into a graveyard from anywhere other than the battlefield, so if it was milled, if it was discarded, if it was somehow put, processors, if it was put from exile into the graveyard, deal a damage. And whenever a creature card leaves my graveyard, just mine, deal a damage. So this is kind of nuts with Shirei because you're always going to be having creatures dying and then coming back. So every creature that dies, as long as Shirei's on the board that has 1 power or less that you control, is going to be dealing 2 damage with Conrad because they're going to die, ping, come back, ping. Conrad is such a fast way to kill, and it's each opponent as well, so it scales really, really well. Villa's Broker of Blood is yet another incredible backbone for this deck. Also 8 mana, 5 black, 8/8 flyer. For a black mana, pay 2 life, target creature gets -1/-1 till end of turn, and whenever you lose life, draw that many cards. So for a black, pay 2 life, draw 2 cards, give a creature -1/-1. Holy shit. Pardon my French. Villa's is one of the most exciting cards that came out of M20 in my opinion, and this effect is so ridiculous. There's so many ways to just casually lose some life. Get attacked to draw a ton of cards. Villa's is incredible and should absolutely be played. Whisper Blood Liturgist is from Dominaria, Legendary Human Cleric for 3 and a black. It's a 2/2. Tap, sack 2 creatures, return target creature from your graveyard to your battlefield. This is a little lower impact than some of the other sacrifice return stuff, but it's still a 2-creature sacrifice outlet, and so I have no issues with this card. I think it's fantastic in this deck. And then the very last creature that we're going to talk about here is Yawgmoth Thran Physician. For 2 black, it's a legendary human cleric. It's freaking Yawgmoth. Come on. 2/4. He has protection from humans. And pay a life, sack another creature, put a 1/1 counter on up to 1 target creature, and draw a card. Black, discard a card, proliferate. Yawgmoth does everything this deck wants. He pays life, he sacks creatures, he draws cards, he kills things, and he allows you to discard cards along with the proliferate effect. The proliferate is probably like the least thing that I care about other than like proliferating -1/-1 counters. But the discarding card is actually really useful because you can throw things like Villa's into the graveyard and then just reanimate it with like Whisper like we just talked about. So pretty strong. Let's go through the artifacts real quick. We've got Aetherworks Marvel. Whenever a permanent you control is put into your graveyard, you get an energy. It's 4 mana for a legendary artifact, by the way. Tap, pay, I believe, 6 energy. Look at the top 6 cards of your library. You can cast a card from among them without paying its mana cost. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. This card's essentially free. We're sacking so many creatures that we have absurd amounts of energy, and so every turn we can just tap Aetherworks Marvel, spin the Marvel, as they used to say back when this was in Standard, and as they're saying now that it's in Historic, and get anything, pretty much. What is it? Yeah, you have to cast it. You can't be a land. We got Ashnod's Altar. It's a sack outlet. It makes mana. 3 mana artifact, sack a creature, add colorless. It's amazing. Bolas' Citadel is one of the best cards printed in Modern Magic. Holy shit. 3 black, legendary artifact. Look at the top card of your library at any time. You can play the top card of your library. If you cast a spell this way, pay life equal to its converted mana cost rather than paying its mana cost. Tap, sack 10 non-land permanents. Each opponent loses 10 life. Citadel goes hard. This card is absolutely magnificent. Seriously, one of the best cards for this deck. Champion's Helm is in here. It's 3 mana for an artifact equipment. Equipped creature gets +2/+2. If the equipped creature is legendary, it has hexproof, equip 1. So this is one of our protection pieces for Shirei. We got Desecrated Tomb in here next. This card is also an absolute house. For 3 mana artifact, whenever 1 or more creature cards leave your graveyard, create a 1/1 black creature token, bat creature token with flying. So on its, at its core, this actually looks a little innocuous, At the end of the turn, Shirei triggers, whole bunch of creatures come back, you get a bat, right? No. No, you don't. You actually get a bat for every single creature, because Shirei creates a delayed trigger every single time a creature dies. Whether they die at the same time or not, they still go one at a time here, because triggers have to resolve. And so it creates a delayed trigger, which means one at a time, technically, those creatures come back in any order you choose, and you're going to get a bat every single time. Desecrated Tomb is wild. Lightning Greaves is another piece of protection for Shirei. Everybody knows this card, but it's 2 for an artifact equipment. Equipped creature is haste and shroud. Equip 0. Great card. Phyrexian Altar, another sack outlet. Everybody knows this one too. 3 mana artifact, sack a creature, add a mana of any color. Skull Clamp, also just a classic. 1 mana for an equipment artifact. Creature gets +1/-1 whenever the equipped creature dies. Draw 2, equip 1. And then Soul Ring. We have Soul Ring in here. It's 1 for an artifact, tap, add colorless. Alright. Let's look at Lily real quick. Liliana Dreadhorde General, 4 black, legendary Planeswalker Liliana. Whenever a creature you control dies, draw a card. +1, create a 2/2 black zombie creature token. -4, each player sacks 2 creatures. -9, each opponent chooses a permanent they control in each permanent type, then sacks the rest. This includes lands. Comes in with 6 loyalty, super easy to get to 9, so easy to defend. Lily is nuts. Instants, we've got Deadly Rollick from the Ikoria Commander decks. Instant, if you control a commander, exile target creature, cast it for free. Otherwise, it's 4 mana, it's still good. Sudden Spoiling, 1 black, split-second instant. Until end of turn, creatures target players control lose all abilities and have base power and toughness 0/2. As long as the spell's on the stack, players can't cast spells or activate abilities that aren't mana abilities. So you're going to really, really mess up their creatures with Sudden Spoiling. Thrilling Encore, instant, put onto the battlefield under your control all creature cards from all graveyards that were put there from the battlefield this turn. This is Wrath Protection. I've genuinely won the game with this card. I actually think this card is absolutely wonderful. Really, really powerful. We got Tragic Slip. This is just removal. Black, instant, target creature gets -1/-1 until end of turn, but it gets -13/-13 until end of turn if you can make a creature die this turn, which this deck can do very easily. And then Village Rites is a bit of a draw card. 1 black for an instant. As an additional cost to cast this spell, sack a creature, draw 2 cards. Sorceries, we have Demonic Tutor. Whoa, crazy. We have Diabolic Intent, which is a Demonic Tutor, but you have to sack a creature as well. Eliminate the Competition. 5 mana, sorcery. When you cast it, sack X creatures, destroy X target creatures. This card is just premium removal in this deck. We have Reprocess, 2 black sorcery, sack any number of artifacts, creatures, or lands. Draw a card for each permanent sacked this way. And Torment of Hailfire for X black sorcery, repeat the following process X times. Each opponent loses 3 life, unless that player sacks an online permanent or discards a card. I love this card. It's a bit of a meme, but you can get a ton of mana in here because of certain different effects, so it's a must. Enchantment-wise, we have Attrition, 1 black enchantment, sack a creature by paying a black, destroy target non-black creature. This card is ridiculous because normally you'd think, trading life for life, great, but we're not really. We're really not. And just like it says here, like Davil says, our resources, unlike theirs, are limitless. We can afford it, they can't. Bastion of Remembrance, 2 and a black. When it enters, create a 1/1 white human soldier creature token. Whenever a creature you control dies, each opponent loses a life, and you gain a life. This is a Blood Artist effect, but on an enchantment that makes you a token. Black Market is, I'm calling it Ramp City, but it does cost 5 to get out initially. But whenever a creature dies, put a charge counter on Black Market. Beginning of your pre-combat main phase. Add black to your mana pool for each charge counter on Black Market. Oh my god! It's so easy to just essentially get infinite mana with this. You are never going to run out of mana with this card after just 2 or 3 turns. Dark Privilege is a protection for Shirei. Enchanted creature gets +1/+1. 1 and a black, by the way. Aura. Sack a creature, regenerate enchanted creature. Then we've got Dictate of Erebos, of course. We also have Grave Pact. 3 black enchantment flash. Whenever a creature you control dies, each opponent sacks a creature. And then Grave Pact doesn't have flash, does the same thing for 1 black. We got Fallen Ideal, which is actually a bit of a silly sacrifice outlet and commander damage kill card. I've had fun with this card, but I think this is one that's probably on the chopping block. It's 2 and a black for an aura. Enchanted creature has flying, and sack a creature. This creature gets +2/+1 until end of turn. But when Fallen Idea is put into a graveyard from a battlefield, return it to its owner's hand. So it's hard to get rid of, don't get me wrong. But I think it doesn't protect Shirei enough, and that's probably enough to get rid of it. Then we got Necropotence, black enchantment, skip your draw step. Whenever you discard a card, exile that card from your graveyard, pay a life, essentially draw a card at your end step. You should know Necropotence. It is one of the most powerful and just ridiculous draw spells in all of Magic. If you don't, let me explain it real quick. So you're not getting a draw step, but you get to draw any number of cards. Any number. And discarding into exile hurts. It does. But, as long as you can cast your stuff, it's really not that scary, and Necropotence lets you refill your hand to 7 every single turn. You can even draw more cards on other players' end steps. Well, draw. I say draw. You're going to exile them, and you'll get them on your end step, but, you can set it up whenever you want. Necropotence is a truly broken Magic card, and if you're playing black like we are here, you need to play it. And then lastly, we've got Oubliette. This was finally reprinted in Double Masters. And this is insane now. It used to be fine, but now it's insane. 1 black enchantment. When it enters the battlefield, target creature phases out until Oubliette leaves the battlefield. Tap that creature as it phases in this way. And then lands, we got Barren Moor because it's a cycling land. We got Bojuka Bog to exile people's graveyards. Cabal Stronghold because we'll have a decent number of basic swamps. And I don't own a Cabal Coffers, actually. I'd love to own a Cabal Coffers, but it's very expensive, and I don't have the money to buy a Cabal Coffers at the moment. But good card. Castle Locthwain is letting us draw cards just by losing a little bit of life. It enters tapped unless you control a swamp, and it taps for black. Crypt of Agadeem is real wonderful for 2, and tapping it, you can add black to your mana pool for each black creature in your graveyard. Tap, add a black, and it enters tapped. Dakmor Salvage enters tapped, add a black, and it has Dredge 2, which means if you would draw a card, you can return mill 2 and return this from your graveyard to your hand. We're probably not going to dredge with this a ton. There's not really a lot of ways we have to sacrifice lands, I guess. So Dakmor Salvage might be one we get out of here, but that dredge is kind of nice. High Market, tap, add a colorless, or tap, sack a creature, gain a life. The gain a life is really irrelevant. This could just say tap, sack a creature, and I'd probably play it. Mirror in the Moaning Well, pretty much the same. Tap, add a 1 to your mana pool, and then 3 tap, sack a creature, you gain life equal to the sacrifice creature's toughness. It's not as good as High Market. It's just not, but it's still pretty good, and you're actually going to gain a little more life this way. Mortuary Mire enters tapped, but when it enters, you can put a target creature card from your graveyard on top of your library, and then it taps to add a black. Nykthos Shrine to Nyx is one of the best lands you can get in monocolor. You can tap it to add a colorless, or 2 tap, choose a color, add mana to your mana pool equal to the amount of mana. Equal to your devotion to that color. Blah, the wording on that's really weird. Basically, you count up your mana symbols on permanents you control, and add that much mana. Phyrexian Tower, legendary land, tap, add a colorless, or tap, sack a creature, add black. This card is fire. So easy to sacrifice creatures. Really wonderful. We got Reliquary Tower because we're drawing a ton of cards. It gives you no maximum hand size. We were running 5 snow-covered swamps, a Strip Mine, 14 swamps, a Thespian Stage, which is tap, add a colorless 2, it becomes a copy of something, an Urborg Tomb of Yawgmoth, which is a legendary land that makes all lands swamps, and a Westvale Abbey, which is a land. Tap, add colorless, 5 tap, pay a life, make a 1/1 white and black human cleric, or 5 tap, sack 5 creatures, transform Westvale Abbey, and then untap it, which turns into Ormondal Profane Prince. Dang, you can't see it up close. It is a 9/7 legendary demon, flying lifelink, indestructible, haste. He's pretty scary. So that's the deck as it stands right now. And so we're going to spend a little bit of time updating this deck. I'm going to skip the playtest portion of this deck, because I don't really see the point when we're going to spend a lot of time here. So the first one up is Agadeem's Awakening. This card is, yes, it's going into the deck. For one, this card's just really, really good. It's not as good as some of the other cards we have in here that are revivals, actually, because it cares about different CMCs, and we have like an okay mix of CMCs. But this card's super easy to add to the deck. We just cut a swamp because it's a land. Look at that. Arcane Signet, I don't know why I didn't put this in the deck, to be frank. This needs to be in here, and we need to find a cut for it. So we'll work on that in a minute. Elvish Doomsayer, when it dies, each opponent discards a card. I think this is probably worth playing in this deck. I don't think it's, like, incredible. Do we have, like, a fancy version of it, or are they're the same? But I think this is a very solid creature that has a place in this deck. Feed the Swarm is black targeted enchantment removal. I think this needs to be played. I don't even care about the losing life. Nadir's Nightblade. This is one I'm probably not going to put in this deck, but I wanted to mention because it is a 1-power creature as well. But it says whenever a token you control leaves the battlefield, each opponent loses a life and you gain a life. And I would note, I think we do make a ton, like an absolute ton of tokens. However, I think this needed to be 2 CMC. So we're going to put it in for right now, because I think we make a ridiculous amount of tokens, but I'm just a little nervous about this one. Opposition Agent. Yeah, this card's busted. It needs to be in this deck. Tormod the Desecrator. This is an auto-include for this deck, actually. This got spoiled, and I kind of freaked. 3 and a black for a 4/2 legendary zombie wizard. Whenever one or more cards leave your graveyard, create a tap 2/2 black zombie creature token. It has partner, but that's irrelevant since we're putting it in the 99. But, oh my god. Just like our Desecrated Tomb, every time one of those creatures comes back, we're making a dude. So Tormod is going to be absurd in this deck. And then I also put Sengir the Dark Baron here. I think this card's pretty fun. It's a bit Voltron-y, I guess, and it dies pretty quick. Whenever another creature dies, put 2+1/+1 counters on Sengir. I feel like we can make Sengir, like, hilariously huge, hilariously quickly, and so I do want to at least try him out. And now we're also going to do 2 more things before we move on with this deck. First, I put up a Scryfall page where we're checking for creatures with power 1 or less. No, I actually put power exacties. Let's go power 1 or less. Less than or equal to. Search with these options. And let's see if any of them are worth adding. Acquisitions Expert. I chose not to put Acquisitions Expert in there, just because it only targets one opponent. It depends on how many of party type you have, and they only discard it. Adaptive Shimmer is trash. Banehound is no. Barrier Buns is no. Black Cat is old and also no. We have Blood Artist. Bogbrew Witch, no, because it requires me to run those. Brass Squire, we're not really running many equipments. Burglar Rat I actually had in the deck and ended up cutting for Yerox Fenlurker. Cabal Therapist I had in for a little while, but I found that it was really underperforming. It takes a long time to really ramp up, and you're not getting multiple effects off it every turn. Cadaver Imp's in. Carrion Feeder is not, but I mean, it exists. It's a sack outlet for free. Definitely something worth considering. Cauldron Familiar is not, because we are not running the Cauldron Cat combo. Changeling Outcast is not. Charity Extractor is not. Cordial Vampire is actually quite good, but we're not running a ton of vampires, and so I don't think his vampire synergy is really all that worthwhile. No Decrassing Drawbridge. It's a good card, but I don't think it's going to do a ton here. Crypt Rats is also just a no. It has no real bonus to sacrificing anything. We got Quambaj Witches, black. Awesome to see this reprinted with the amazing Seb McKinnon art, but it doesn't do anything for this deck. Drainpipe Vermin is too expensive for what it wants to do. Hello, kitten. Say hello to my kitten. This is Ollie. He has apparently decided to pay us a visit while I'm recording, so I'll keep talking, but I'll also pet him. We got Dread Malkin. He sacks another creature or planeswalker to put counters on him, but I don't really think he does a lot here. Same with Duskfang Mentor. Putting a lifelink counter on a non-human creature you control just really isn't that exciting for what this deck's trying to do. Move your tail, dude. Come on. Hello. Dutiful Attendant, I think, is actually a little interesting here, but I think we have a similar effect already with... Where are you? Hi, Ollie. Come on. Lay down, bud. Thank you. Yeah, chill. I believe it is... Sorry, very distracting kitty cat here. Let's see, it's not... Is it Bone Shredder? It's not Bone Shredder. It's one Cadaver Imp. We have a nearly identical effect with Cadaver Imp, but he flies, so it shows him. Also, I believe Cadaver Imp is... Yeah, he's Enter, which I think is more powerful than Dies. Eye Collector doesn't help us here, neither does Farfinder. Well, Farfinder doesn't suck, but we're using Skyscanner for this effect, and I don't really want another one of those, I guess. I think it's fine, but it's not one that really excited me. Fel Specter's not bad, but it's 4 mana, and so that kind of pushed me into not really wanting it in the deck. I think Egg is the most expensive 0 mana, and then Mindless Automaton. And those two both have really powerful draw effects, while Fel Specter is just pinging people and discarding a little bit. Festering Newt for the same reason as the Bogbrew Witch. Felmire Knight is just not worth it. Let's see. This is just a kicker card. Ginger Brute, nope. No thank you. Vanilla card, it's Menace with Evolve, nah. Grim Physician. I like this card, don't get me wrong, but the fact that it's not a -1/-1 counter and it's just an effect until end of turn really hurts this card's usability. I don't think either of these cards are worth it here. Hateful Eidolon's really cool in like an enchantment deck, but we are not one. That's just a Death Toucher. Inquisitive Puppet exiles itself if you really want to make use of it, so no, no, no. Landpad's not bad, but the mana cost to do that just makes me not want to play it. Lightning Core Excavator costs 5 to use that effect, so I'll pass on that one. Lazotep Reaver isn't bad, actually. It does get you 2 cards. I actually used this in my Ayara Brawl deck that I had on Arena for a while. Lily is Elite. No, it actually turns its own ability to come back off. Gargoyle's just an attacker. We have Mindless Automaton with different art in. Mirsaire is... I mean, it's fine. It makes tokens. This is a card I had in the deck for a little while and cut. But maybe it's worth talking about putting back in. So let's toss it on the list here, especially since we are discussing adding in Nadir's Nightblade, which cares about tokens. Mysterious Egg doesn't matter. Nighthawk Scavenger turns its own ability to come back off because of its power and toughness setting ability. Can't block. No. This one doesn't really do anything for this deck. This makes tokens. So, actually, I think Urge of Enforcer is actually kind of interesting here. Let's discuss this. I actually had this in the deck at one point as well, so this is why I do this from time to time. We have Perilous Myrrh. Pilfering Imp is too slow. We have Pilgrim's Eye. I don't think Piper the Swarm really helps us here. Plague Drusulka doesn't really help us here. Have that. Don't want Revenant. It turns its ability to come back off. We don't care about Skeleton. Scarecrow's kind of cute. Lets you draw a card, I guess. But we're not playing a bunch of artifact creatures, so I'm probably not going to run with it. Scourge of the Skyclaves turns its ability to come off, and you have to kick it, so it's not helping. No. Have it in. This isn't helping here. This does the same thing as the Grim Physician. Man, I really need some coffee. I'm going to definitely drink some Morning Brown when I'm done. Skittering Surveyor does the same thing as our Pilgrim's Eye and as Farfinder does. I don't think we need too many of those. Sling Gang Lieutenant is a card I've been kind of putting in and out of the deck from time to time, so I think with some token strategies, now might be the time to do that. No, no. No. This doesn't have any payoffs for the 1/1 counters, it just gets bigger. No, no, no. Probably not worth it. Even though becoming the Monarch over and over again is really cute, I don't think that Thorn of the Black Rose is going to get there. It's just a Death Toucher. Tiny Bones doesn't help us. Conjurance doesn't help us. Universal Automaton doesn't help us. Neonite doesn't help us. Changeling doesn't help us. We have Viscerus here. Visitor of the Scorpion's too expensive for what it does. Even though it gives zombie tokens Death Touch, all it's doing is growing an existing token most of the time. So I think we're going to skip this one. Gosh, that's actually a consideration. I think Death Touch is at least mildly relevant, but I think we're going to skip it. And then, yeah, I think we can skip all of these. Cool. All right, now we're going to go to the EDH rec page. This is one of the most powerful search engines for Commander in the game. And look at that. There's Feed the Swarm. There's Malakir Rebirth, which we're not going to put in here. I don't think we need this. Because if Shirei gets killed and then you bring them back, it's not the same Shirei unless the delayed trigger doesn't happen. Then Agadeem's Awakening we just put in. We don't have Dusk Legion Zealot in here. I think it's a good card. And I ended up cutting it because we had other more efficient ways to draw cards I found. But might be worth finally putting back in. So let's toss that bad boy in there. We got Serrated Scorpion. Yeah, we got all of these. These are... we cut Burglar Rat because of Yurok's Fenlurker. I think it's just a hard upgrade to Yurok's Yurok's Fenlurker is a hard upgrade to Burglar Rat, and I didn't see the need for all that much redundancy there. Got these. Got all of these except for... Oh, excuse me. All except for Swiftfoot Boots because we have the Lightning Greaves. And we don't have Gary because I don't think we have enough stuff for Gary to really trigger a bunch. And he's 5 mana and he doesn't come back with Shirei. Carrion Feeder, man, I'm seeing it pop up again. I think I'm going to leave Carrion Feeder out for the time being, but having that sacrifice outlet early, you know what, let's discuss it, at least. Because the more I think about it, you know, even if Carrion Feeder is growing, You know, Carrion Feeder doesn't come back when it grows, which is definitely an issue. But, like, the fact that it's just a sacrifice outlet for free on a 1-drop is actually pretty important. Cut Big Game Hunter because he was kind of hard to use. Smothering Abomination wasn't doing a ton for me. Pawns here. Butcher is gone because it's way too expensive. Tattered Mummy is great. Blood Pet. And I really should put Blood Pet back in here. I had it in for a while. Just having that way to cash in for a black mana every turn was actually quite good. I'm actually probably going to cut Harvester of Souls. I think it's a good card, but asking 6 mana for that effect is a little difficult, I think, most of the time. Weaponcraft Enthusiast is another one we should put back in. Had this in there for a while, cut it out. I think it's time for it to make its grand return. Death Greeter's been solid for me in the past, but I ended up cutting it. Just because just gaining a single life for each creature I found was not quite enough. Falconwrath Noble is a very good card, but it's target player. And it's 4 mana as opposed to our buddy Blood Artist, who's also target player, but is 2 mana. If, there we go again. Sorry about that. If Falconwrath Noble was a 2-drop, I'd play it. Soldevi Adnate. This is actually a card I was not aware of. Tapped, sacrifice a black or artifact creature to add an amount of black equal to that creature's casting cost. Huh. I think that's going to go right into the consideration. Soldevi Adnate. This card's super cool. I don't know how I've never come across this during all my searches for this before. Vindictive Vampire. Once again, cool effect, but 4 mana, and I ended up cutting it. Reaper's cool. Marionette Master is actually pretty cool, but it only triggers off of artifacts, and so while the servers are around a lot, I don't think Marionette Master is going to be draining enough for 6 mana. Marsh Flitter is meh. Gosh, anything else? Basalt Thrall is just a bigger blood pet, but you have to tap it rather than just sack it. Death Cultist is cute, but it's target. We have Hell's Caretaker just with different art. Boy. Not seeing a whole ton on here that I think I really need to put in. Triskellion's been solid before. If it wasn't 6 mana, I think I'd be more inclined to play Triskelion in this deck. No matter how casual it is, you know, it's definitely hard to justify. I cut Altar's Reap because of the existence of Village Rites. It's just not worth it anymore. I think Dark Ritual is probably worth putting back in. I had it in, I cut it out, but Shirei is 5 mana, so the faster we can get a Ritual, the better, I guess. Not even I guess, I know, come on. Vampiric Tutor. I've been intentionally leaving Vamp Tutor out of decks because of how expensive it is, but it's in Commander Legends now, and yeah. It's going to be a little more reasonable to get a hold of. Living Death is pretty cute. I've actually very much considered putting it into this deck. It's kind of a cool board wipe effect. So maybe let's try playing around with Living Death a little bit here. I have a copy. You know, we're really up in the deck count here. We need to cut 18 cards to get us back to where we want to be, but I'm okay with that. That's the whole point of this deck, is to go through the deck and then talk about updating it and upgrading it. Artifact-wise, I'm pretty happy with everything I got. Bantu's Monument is a cool card, but I was finding that, you know, all my creatures are low enough cost as is that... Oh my goodness. Yeah, the effect wasn't enough. Lightning Coils was fun. I tried it for a little while. It's only 3 mana, but let's see, 5 or more. But the fact that it's an upkeep effect, I think it made it a little harder to use the way I wanted it to. Genesis Chamber is pretty fun, actually. Yeah, let's toss that in there and have a talk about it. We definitely can't be cutting like the 1/1 creatures because we need to actually have like creatures rolling. Jet Medallion, on the other hand, I do think has a slot in here. This card's actually super effective. But then, boy, Meekstone's actually pretty cute. Power greater than 2. Maybe we try Meekstone and then just cut some of our bigger dudes. Sure, why not? Little stacksy bits. Smokestack's cute. Thrumming Stone works in the build of this deck that uses Shadowborn Apostles. We are not that build. Open the Graves was a fun card. I tried this for a little while, but it being at 5 mana... Whew! Man, sorry I'm yawning so much in this video. I promise I'm not bored. Open the Graves was... it performed okay, but it being at 5 mana made it a lot harder to use, in my opinion. Usually you want a more impactful effect like Dictate of Erebos than you do just making some tokens, I found. So let's slide it in there, but it's probably going to come right back out. But it's one that's worth discussing a little more in depth, I think. Blessing of Leeches. That's actually kind of cute. Beginning your upkeep, just a single life to regenerate the enchanted creature. I think we'll move on from that. Mind Slash is cute. But it's only at sorcery speed. If this was instant speed, Mind Slash would be an instant play here. Yeah, I think Fallen Ideal's probably going to slide back out. I don't think it's good enough. Contamination's pretty cute, actually. This is a really fun way to just turn off people's decks. Let's put that in there. It's a really mean card, but Contamination, I think, is a really good way to kind of stacks out the board and give you time to set up. Gate to Phyrexia is probably worth playing here as well. Sack one of your creatures during upkeep, destroy an artifact. Yeah, let's do it. Having artifact removal in black, I think, is actually really nice. It's a pricey card, don't get me wrong, but it's good. We have Dreadhorde General in here. I think our lands are probably going to be about correct. Witch's Cottage. Do we have Witch's Cottage in here? We don't. We should probably put that in there. Let's put the Cottage in there. Cottage is good. We should probably... I own Witch's Cottage. And we'll just cut a normal swamp for that. I think that's fine. The other thing I'm probably going to cut... What was the land where I was kind of unimpressed with it? Dakmor. We're going to cut Dakmor, and we'll put that swamp back in. We want a higher concentration of swamps anyway. Cabal Coffers. Need to get this card. We're gonna put it in the deck technically, just with the idea that if you were building this deck, it's a card that you really should include if you have one. But I do not own one. But we're also building with the idea of just what's the best version of this deck, I guess. So it doesn't really matter. Let's see, anything else? Not seeing any other... Volrath Stronghold's real good here. It's not amazing, though, so I'm going to leave it out just because of how expensive it is, I think. Cool card, though. Yep, no. Nyx Lotus would be good if it wasn't 4 mana here, I think. Thought Vessel is actually probably very worth running. I recently acquired a copy back during like the start of the pandemic, so I think it's probably worth including. Draw enough cards that we probably want it. Yeah, and then Landscape Swamps. Cool. Alright, so we have 125 cards in this deck now. We need to spend a little bit of time cutting some things. Let's do it. So let's start with the creatures. We added Blood Pet. I actually think Blood Pet's very much worth running. This is a way to basically ramp yourself a single black mana. Every turn, it lets you cast a couple things. But the catch is, even though we're sacrificing it every single turn, I'm not sure we're spending that black mana on a lot. It lets us attrition every turn, so I think that's good enough to keep a Blood Pet in this deck. Now, cuts-wise, we'll figure that out in a minute, but let's just kind of go through creatures. Carrion Feeder, I think we're just going to get rid of Carrion Feeder. While I like having that sacrifice outlet, the fact that it doesn't come back with Shirei after you've done it even once is probably enough to just turn it off for me. Dusk Legion Zealot, enters, draw a card, lose a life. Gosh, it is a very good card. It's a very good card. How many other draw effects do we have at 2 mana? I guess is the question. Doesn't look like a lot. I actually think I'm going to cut Whisper. Specifically because Whisper doesn't... gosh. Do I cut Whisper? That's difficult. So, I mean, we've got... Who are our revivalists here? We've got... we got Apprentice Necromancer up here, but that's temporary. And then we had... Where's the other one? Oh, Harvester of Souls is going to go. I think it's too expensive. Hell's Caretaker is the other one. This is only during the upkeep, but all you have to do is sack a creature. Yeah, I think Whisper is going to come out. Weaponcraft Enthusiast is a really good way to make a bunch of servos, because you get 2 1/1 servos off of him. 3 mana, 3 creatures. That seems fine. Tormod's a must. Tormod is in this deck. That's just a guarantee. I think Soul Devi Adnate is actually a really good ramp here, and Slinging Lieutenant is really good. You know what? With Slinging Lieutenant in mind, I'm actually going to get rid of Weaponcraft Enthusiast. While it is 1 mana more expensive, it's actually a sacrifice outlet for those Goblin tokens that it makes every single time, and that is actually pretty good. I think Sengir's too cute for this deck. I don't think it works. It's gone. While I like it and the fact that it can grow absurdly massive, it just means everybody points at it, removes it, and I never get to attack with it. And even if I do, you know, great. I think Skursdag is amazing just because it's tap 2 untap creatures rather than sack. That's fine. Plunder is amazing because it makes you treasures. Like, come on, this card's busted. You get so much mana off of this. I like Perilous Mer because it can target a creature. In fact, I'm actually curious. Has this been errated to target Planeswalkers as well? Or is it still just... Hey, it is any target! Okay, yep, Perilous Mer is staying. Being able to ping Planeswalkers is real good here. The fact that this only makes 1 token on death, I think it's gone. Opposition Agent has to go in. This card is broken. I think that we've made a strong enough case for Nadir's Nightblade. Goodness. You know what? No, I don't think we have. While I think Nadir's Nightblade is a good card, and we are making a lot of tokens, I don't think that running an effect that only triggers on our tokens is worth it. I think we want effects that just trigger on everything, like our Blood Artist, or another creature. Yep. I think Zealot goes. I think Doomsayer... I think Doomsayer goes. I do think Doomsayer is really cool. Not only is it really cool design as a copy of... as a black version of the green one. What is it? Elvish... Doomsayer... I don't remember the name of it, but it's a similar card, but it draws you a card when it enters, and that one discards opponent's cards when it leaves. Alright, we still got a lot of cuts to go here. Thought Vessel, I think, needs to be in here. Meekstone, I think Meekstone's fine here. Jet Medallion's a must. I think Genesis Chamber... Let's go for it. Let's play Genesis Chamber. Why not? In that regard, we're probably going to need to make a lot of cuts elsewhere. I think Dark Ritual's actually probably worth the time here. But I actually think Village Rites can probably go. I think we've got enough draw that having a single temp draw is probably not worth my time. We've got... Let's see. Oh, computer, can you... There we go. No, or not. Let me play nice, please. There we go. Tragic Slip... It's removal, 1 mana, super easy to enable as well, I think. Sudden Spoiling's good, Rollick's good. I think, gosh, I like Living Death. I do. I don't think it can stay, though. I really don't. I wish it could. Agadeem's can stay. It's replacing a land. Torment's good. Reprocess draws you a ton of cards. Feed the Swarm is super strong, actually. It's good removal as well. In fact, I think the fact that we have Feed the Swarm here is making me feel like Tragic Slip can probably go. While Tragic Slip is instant speed and Feed the Swarm is not, goodness, that's actually a little tricky. Let's hang on to Feed the Swarm for right now. Just for the time being, you know. We got Oubliette. We got Open the Graves. And like I said, I think it just needs to come back out. Oh my goodness. 1 second. Sorry. Apologies for the camera shifting. My computer's having some issues with staying plugged in at the moment. Come on, let's behave here. Alright, Gate to Phyrexia. Yeah, I think this can actually stay, and I think in that regard Fallen Ideal can go. Contamination's really good here. And attrition, yeah, I think attrition's going to stay just fine. Dark Privilege is good enough with the regenerate, I think, so we'll leave that in for the time being. We still have a lot of cuts to do, though, folks. A lot of cuts to do. Is Tree actually worth it? I think Tree can probably hop on out. Sorry, Tree. I think you're hilarious, but you can go. Summoner's Egg can go. Probably going to want to cut another one of the big mana cards, too. Pitiless Plunder is too good. Pawn is too good here. Krav is wonderful. Do we have anything else that's too expensive, I guess, is the question now. Because I think Conrad offers a ton of value for its mana cost. Villas is strong value here, but you know what? Let's just go ahead and cut Villas out of here for the time being. I think Villas is a very good Magic the Gathering card. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that Villas is not a good Magic card. What I am saying, though, is that Villas doesn't play synergy with this deck as well as I'd like him to. I think Contamination's too good to avoid. Same with Gate to Phyrexia, Feed the Swarm, Agadeems. And I guess we can just start looking at our artifacts here. So we've got our Arcane Signet. We've got our Ashnod's Altar, Bolus's, Champions, Desecrated, Genesis Chamber. I'm going to get rid of Genesis Chamber. I think it's good, but I think the fact that it's symmetrical is probably making it less worth running than other choices. Jet Medallion's worth it. I do think so. Boy, this is trickier than I thought it was going to be. I think we're going to get rid of Thought Vessel. I do like Thought Vessel. I do. But it's going to go. Vamp needs to stay. It does. Feeling like Slinging actually just needs to go again. 4 mana, you know. Let's actually sort by CMC here, and maybe see if that helps anything. Custom by CMC. So those are all our lands. Where's our 1-drops? There we go. Sort of Vampiric, Tragic Slip, Thought Picker, Soul Ring, Skull Clamp, Scorpion, Meekstone. God, that's so cute. I think that's really funny. Fume and Festering, they're permanent stuff. I'm sorry, Blood Pet, just, it's not doing it for me. I love the concept, I just don't think it's doing it. A lot of 5-mana cards here. I think Eliminate is better than Thrilling, but I think Thrilling is such good board wipe protection that I'd rather keep it in. And I guess another thing I'd like to note here is I don't have a what is the name of that card? Black, pay life to destroy, give stuff -X/-X. Now, I think full-scale board wipes are probably not worth running when we're so reliant on Shirei here. So maybe let's not. Yawgmoth's too good. How do we feel about Reprocess? Huh. It's one of those cards where like I feel weird cutting it because it can give you such a swell of draws. So I think we're going to leave that in there. Boy. Lily's too good, I think. I think she's worth the 6 as a bolus. But I think our 5-drop slot is too thick. Boy. Do we need Krav? Man, but he's such an outlet. Such an outlet. I think we're going to cut Reprocess because we have Krav. He's more expensive, but I think that gets us just a little bit more. Oh, that reminds me. We can cut the Cabal Stronghold and just put in a new Snow-Covered Swamp, I think. That seems fine. Keeps us at 35 lands, which I think is enough for this deck. Dark Privileges Regeneration. That's totally fine by me. I really like Soldevi Advocate. I'm kind of surprised at how cool this card is. That can generate us a lot of land. You do have to, or mana, you do have to tap him, but like I don't have a huge problem with that. And if he gets destroyed, he comes back with Shirei. I think Meeksto can stay. I think that little bit of extra stacksy bit is going to do a lot here. I really do. And I think it's this high end that we need to keep looking at. Sudden spoiling. I mean, the losing all abilities I think is worthwhile here. Skyscanner, Pawn. I'm going to get rid of Op Agent. Not because I think Op Agent is bad or anything. I actually think Op Agent is actively amazing. But I just... the card is evil. Okay? It's an evil card. I guess next question. How badly do we need a Yara? She's drained. She's pretty good. Next question is, how badly do we need Bastion? This is actually a card I've considered cutting a few times, and the fact that we're at 102, I think that slides Bastion out, because it is an enchantment, which means we can't sacrifice it. We can sacrifice the creature it makes, but it's only coming in once. And then one more cut. We're close. We're very close. Boy. I'm just going to cut... Boy, I feel like I want to just cut the Vamp Tutor because I don't own a copy right now. So I think we're going to do that. I think another point for cutting the Vamp Tutor is us powering out a Razaketh and just tutoring over and over again anyway. So I think that puts us at 100 cards. I'm actually quite satisfied with the place this deck ended up. So let's go ahead and just sort by types. Sort by types, have a look. I have a Feed the Swarm. I don't have an Agadeem's Awakening yet, but that's okay. You know what? Just once. Let's save, and then I'll do one quick, sample hand, little bit of opening gameplay, and that's going to be it. Let's have a look. Hold on while we shuffle. Pawn, Tutor, and a whole bunch of lands. I think this would be a free mull. Yeah, this seems good. This seems real good. Let's draw for turn. We're gonna go Swamp. Do we just Dark Ritual into a Necropotence here? Is that what we do? Or no, I think we hold it up. I think we wait, play a land next turn, and then we can drop 2 dudes. Let's draw, play our Nykthos, and then I think we're just gonna drop. We're gonna drop Blood Artist and pass. Untap, upkeep, draw. It's gonna be a tapped Bojuka Bog. That hurts. But then we'll just drop the Perilous Moor and pass. Land? No, that hurts too. But that's actually fine. So we can Bojuka Bog into Dark Ritual to add black, 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 and then tap, tap, bam, Shizo. Or Shirei. I know my own commander's name. Don't worry, it's fine. Untap, draw. Feeling a little better about where we're at now. Now I need some sacrifice outlets. So I think a Yara is going to be the next thing we have to play. We've got 1, 2, only 2. Gosh. We can't even play the Necropotence with what we got here. So I think Desecrated Tomb is probably our next play. And we'll pass. There we go. I don't control 3 or more swamps, so Witch's Cottage is coming in tapped. But as long as we've got some lands coming, whoa, I'm less upset. Let's drop a Skull Clamp, and let's equip it to the Perilous Moor, which will kill the Perilous Moor, and will draw us 2 cards. Now, end of turn comes, Perilous Moor comes back. We just drained each opponent for 1, and we gained that, and then we also make a bat. What's up? Untap, upkeep, draw. Probably should have Skull Clamped a second time, actually, so we're going to pretend that we did that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We are going to discard the Sudden Spoiling, because we don't actually have to interact with anybody this game. So that means we have 2 bats. Hey, puppy, can you lay down, please? Thank you. My doggo's laying on the bed, and he decided to move. We got a Swamp. Cool. Now we're starting to move here. Still not a ton of mana stuff, so Nykthos isn't crazy valuable right now, I think. But we got a Phyrexian Altar, so I think that's well worth playing. We're going to play the Altar. We're going to sack the Perilous Moor. Oh, right, we should have done 2 damage to them for that. Then we'll do 2 more damage to them for that. So we now have a black in our mana pool. We're going to sack the Bat, have a black in our mana pool. Sack the bat, have a black in our mana pool. We've drained 3 more life. Okay. Should be at 43. There we go. 44, sorry. I'm misrepresenting what Blood Artist does here. My bad. Yeah, so we've made 3 black now. We're going to use that 3 black to play a Yara, First of Locthwain. We're going to sacrifice the Blood Artist to make a black. Then we're going to use, let's see, 4. Is that worth it? I think that's worth it. Tap this and use the black as well. Make 4 mana. 1, 2, 3, 4. Play a Priest of the Forgotten Gods. Play a Zulaport Cutthroat. Now what? Let's sacrifice the Priest of Forgotten Gods to the Phyrexian altar to add a black. Use that black to equip it to the Zulaport Cutthroat, which then dies and allows us to draw 2 cards. Very cool. Move to our end step. Zulaport comes back. Priest comes back. Blood Artist comes back. Perilous Mir comes back. So we get 4 dudes back. We also got to drain and gain twice. And then we make 4 bats. That's pretty good. 4. Now, here's where things are actually a little hilariously spicy. So it's an opponent's turn right now, right? And we have a mana outlet on board, and we're going to be able to do stuff. So we're going to sack Perilous Mir, Priest of the Forgotten Gods in that order, Zulaport Cutthroat, Blood Artist. So we're going to get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and gain 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Then we're also, when we'll sack a bat in there at some point too, just to gain a little extra life. We'll do that first. We got 5 mana. We're going to flash out a Dictate of Erebos. Yeah, that's nasty. And then we can just sack those bats literally for like no value, just to get people to sacrifice creatures. I think that's pretty evil. And on somebody's end step, we're going to come back in with Blood Artist, Zulaport Cutthroat, Priest of Forgotten Gods, Perilous Mir. They're all back. We're going to make 4 more bats. Now, instead of just sacrificing creatures willy-nilly, we're going to be able to pretty much permanently keep opponents off being able to play stuff on the board. And also, we just drained 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 life, right? Very good, very good. Yeah, that's pretty nuts. And now what we can do is every turn tap sack 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 to drain, what is that? 12? Drain 12, and then 14, 15. We can drain 15 a turn, so we've just won on the spot on this next player's turn. And that's a little idea of what Shirei can do if the deck goes off. It was a slow start, but I think it really picked up by the end there. Man, we had quite a pocket of land there. But yeah, that's a little look at Shirei Shizo's Caretaker. That's what my old design for the deck was. This is my current updated version, so thanks for watching this probably much longer than usual video where I gave you a little walkthrough on how this deck plays. Thanks so much for watching, and stick around. I'll be doing some Commander Legends commanders very soon. I believe the next one that I'm working on is Liesa, Shroud of Dusk, which is the Orzhov Angel from Innistrad. So again, thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, become a friend of the gathering. Subscribe down below, leave us a like if you liked it, and please leave us some comments. I would love to hear your feedback on this deck. If you think there's anything I really need to include, if you think there's anything I really shouldn't be including, I'd love to hear it. So I've been Zach, and thank you so much for watching. Bye!